Okay, Vice Chair McClellan, we are now live on Facebook and live on Zoom.
All right, great. Thank you, Dr. Sullivan. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the June 21st, 2023 meeting of the Cohasset School Committee. Hello, summer, first day of summer.
That's right.
Would everyone that's present please indicate so in roll call? Mr. Kearney,
Present.
Ms. Leskey.
Present.
I am present, Craig McClellan. Mr. Carr is away of business and will not be here, and the chairperson, Mr. Dial, will be here momentarily, but I will take over for the time being. But we do have a quorum. Would all those who are willing and able please rise for the pledge of allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, oh, look at.
Mr. Carr. Mr. Carr is here.
He is here. Sorry, everybody.
All right, well,
Good.
the more the merrier. Mr. Carr is here at 6:02 PM. Welcome, Mr. Carr. I just reported to everyone that you were away on business, so
I'm here.
I was misinformed, but here
Thank
you
you.
are. A man of
I can
mystery.
see everybody.
Good seeing you.
All right, so we'll have a full quorum in a few moments. Start with public comments. Dr. Scollins, are you monitoring that at all? To see if anyone has any comments virtually. There's no one in the audience that's physically here, but if you are watching on Zoom and you have anything that you'd like to comment on, public comment is the section of the agenda reserved for points of discussion that are not related to agenda items. So if you have something that's not on the agenda, please make a comment now, and you can utilize the Q&A feature on Zoom to do so if you are viewing or participating virtually. If you have a comment related to something on the agenda, please just wait until we arrive at that point in the meeting, and then utilize the Q&A feature on Zoom to make your comment. Dr. Scollins, you see anything?
There is nothing there.
Perfect. Moving on to school updates. Dr. Sullivan, Superintendent of Schools.
Yes, my pleasure to provide a little update. What I thought we'd do, because we are in our last official meeting of this school year, even though it moves into the next year, because we have to choose our dates for the next school committee meetings of the next year. I thought I'd do a bit of a recap via pictures on the year, just some placeholders. I mean, this could go on forever. As you know, I love to put pictures in newsletters and love to celebrate the amazing district we have, but this just kind of highlights some of the high points of the year, and then we'll actually move that right into our next agenda item, which is academic updates, which will talk a little bit about some of the important accomplishments that we had this year, and then we'll move to look at some of the goals for next year, which coincides with our third and final year of our strategic plan. So it'll be exciting. So we've had some great recent triumphs. We'll get to that in a minute, and then I'll hold you in suspense if you don't know what we're talking about. But it's been a good couple of days for Cohasset sports, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So the year started, as it always does, with happy students coming back. Here's a student seeing his former teacher, and it just shows you the bonds that we build here in Cohasset. This was kind of a nice moment I caught on camera. But this is always good, obviously, that first day of school and that first day excitement. Students coming in, you know, in the first couple of days, rain wasn't deterring their excitement. This is some of our students entering the building at our youngest levels. Open houses, we had some amazing open houses at every level. You can see our theme last year was Find Your Compass, and it's always a great highlight to talk about the year ahead and everything that we have to offer. As we kind of moved on through the year, in the fall, we had great block parties with our Metco students that happened at each of the bus stops. We have two main bus stops, one in Mattapan, one in Franklin Park, and we were able to go to both of those and have a bit of a block party. And here are just one picture of Dr. Scollins and me working with our awesome Metco families. Just by way of some of the things that we're proud of, we're very proud of our community relations and our connections with groups like Holly Hill Farm. Here you have them, Holly Hill harvesting potatoes, Farmer John with our second graders, I believe. That happens throughout the year, and you know, for those of you at home, we're in the learning commons of the middle high school, and school committee members can see some flourishing gardens right out here with a nice, covered sort of greenhouse that is very reflective of what we do at all of our schools. Harvesting fresh food, serving that in our cafeterias, selling that at the farmers markets. It's been a huge part of learning for students and real hands-on learning. And I can say the same for our relationship with CSCR. We've been able to highlight that relationship. Safe Harbors, we've done some great work with our green team doing environmental work. And as we look forward to the next 3-year strategic plan, those type of really authentic learning experiences are going to play a huge role in everything we're doing. And you'll see them reflected for sure in our strategic initiatives next year, but certainly within the next 4 years. Great relationship with 2 amazing groups, our PSO and CEF. They've provided so much for us. This is the Osgood and Deer Hill Fun Run, which is a great fundraiser by the PSO. It's fun to watch them go around in circles like crazy for the first couple of minutes, and then you see the fatigue start to set in a little bit, unless they have super energy, which some of them do, by the way. And then we are very proud of some of the work that we were able to get completed this year in putting in a new track and turf, and kudos to Sue Owen and everyone Michelle Leary, everyone who played a role in the school committee, quite frankly, for their support throughout the whole process. We right now have a beautiful and, most importantly, safe track and turf that can be enjoyed for many years. And here's just an image of sort of the finished products. Very proud of those. We started the year with a state championship. Our girls soccer team, it's interesting, when I had my opening meeting, I had the girls soccer team speak about their work with the littles and some of their contributions that they provided. It really in concert with our district vision, which is to empower students to improve communities. And what did they do? Well, they turned around and won a state championship. And a lot of it had to do with that unity that they showed for each other. That was a great celebration, particularly after the year before they had lost a heartbreaker in the finals. And I put this here just as a show that our sports teams did wonderful throughout the year in all seasons. But this was certainly a triumph at the beginning of the season. Our arts and our performances, these are some of our holiday performances, happened throughout the year. I was very proud of the work that our music teachers did and our art teachers did in their showcases. This is the Osgood, they call it the stroll, holiday stroll at Osgood. That was a lot of fun. And it culminated in the parents doing some craft work with them in the cafeterias, which was really cute, a nice community building event. And here's our high school, obviously singing Stand By Me, which is a little classic, but that was a nice concert. Many altruistic enterprises that we do as a district and combined with our community. Here we are, again, very proud of the partnership we have with Cohasset Police, Cohasset Fire. This is Fill a Truck to benefit Toys for Tots, just one example. And then we had I thought a superb Credit for Life fair, which is really building towards financial literacy. We had the support of this committee to add a teacher that's going to help build those courses at the high school level that we hired. And this was a fantastic literacy activity for seniors, hopefully that. And the panel was, as you can see, local folks who have succeeded in their own fields. And they were fantastic experts speaking. And again, kudos to the school committee for pushing this as well, but we did a lot of work in making our food service a better situation for our students. This is some of the equipment and the new organization of the snack shack at the middle and high school. This is an example of some of the cooking that we did. Mediterranean, this was a really nice educational opportunity for our cooking staff. We were able to hire a new position that is going to help with culinary, and we're looking forward to sharing that action plan with her later this summer with the committee when it's an appropriate time. So these are just a couple of pictures that I thought were emblematic of those efforts. Very proud of our first ever meeting at the Medco headquarters. Hopefully that becomes something we do every year, or at least look to do every year. That was fantastic. We could do more with that next year. And then, of course, we have the Medco Advocacy Day. I know Vice Chair McClellan was there, and you can see him with Senator O'Connor and a whole contingent from the high school. And I think next year we'll bring more students to that because obviously that's an important part of it. But great first time for us being at that inaugural Advocacy Day. That's another great, this was just a really fun activity that the PSO sponsored with the Holland Wizards. We had many of these throughout the year. CEF did a fantastic job with the spelling bee. Culture is very important in schools, and it really shows, some of the things we did. And then CEF sponsored efforts such as our courtyards being renovated. This is the Deer Hill Courtyard, which served as a learning space throughout the whole year. We were even using this in the winter. Lovely space and a lot of great learning happening out there. Again, this is just some of the PSO readathons, and then to the right here is another example of art showcases. There were art showcases at every level. This is Deer Hill's art showcase. Ms. Berman did a fabulous job with that. The inaugural multicultural night was a tremendous success and very much tied in with our strategic plan. And here you can see the ad, and then many of the families in our community who were very proud of their cultures, showing their cultures' histories and foods, and had dance from different cultures. A really great event and very well attended for a first event of this type. So I'm looking forward to more of that as we move forward as well. I put this here because we did an inaugural color run, which is a nice, just something different towards the end of the year. And I put the Quebec trip here just as a placeholder. We had many fabulous trips, including trips to the Galapagos Islands, trip to Grand Canyon, some very quality opportunities for our students, and the Quebec trip was certainly one of them. As we move towards the end of the year, this is one, this steals the cake for me, but talking to astronaut Stephen Bowen from the International Space Station right here, as he floated around, was quite a highlight. Our students who presented were fabulous, and the fact that the whole district and community could watch that, I thought was very special and inspiring, quite frankly. Then we were able to usher off our class of 2023. I took this picture. I just love the beaming smiles as they're walking out of Cohasset High School, and then they journeyed on to walk through all the buildings, and then you have them at Deer Hill, and then you have them on the stairs there at Osgood. As I mentioned before, they didn't fill up those stairs like that when they were at Osgood, but they certainly do now. Our awards night was wonderful. And I took this picture from the stage. I risked being a little tacky doing it, but I'm glad I did it because I was able to catch the actual turning of the tassels, led by our class president, Santiago. So it's great. Really special moment. And this is a Dan Leahy photo of them throwing their hats in celebration. Wonderful. We were able to, oh, there we go. So this is to kind of bookend our triumphant moments. Congratulations to Coach Steve Rotundi, who's also our AD, and all the coaches, and of course the students and student athletes who were part of the state champion boys Cohasset lacrosse team. They were successful in beating Sandwich this past weekend, and I didn't get to go to that. I wish I had, but I was able to go to their win against Weston, which was very convincing. And they were clearly an amazing team, particularly an amazing team for our division. They can compete at any division, but when you put them in the division we're in, they're pretty dominant. So very successful, and a lot of sportsmanship, and a great effort by this team. So congratulations to them. And there they are, proudly holding their championship banner. And hopefully we can celebrate them further in future meetings. Had a nice moment. This is, I just put this again as just a show that all of the folks I'll mention here are equally important. They did amazing work, but we were able to celebrate Miss Diane Barbieri, who is a fabulous second grade teacher taught for 29 years of service here for Cohasset Public Schools, and is just the best. Like, really a reflection of the best, one of the best teachers I've seen at any level, and just so super positive and wonderful. So it was a pleasure to celebrate her. They did a whole sort of clap out, and she walked around and tried not to cry every second. I don't know how she did it, because I would have. But this was a nice moment. And I should mention all the wonderful teachers who have retired at various times throughout the last year. Kathy Jordan, Maria Spadia. Kathy was at Deer Hill. Spadia is a cafeteria or food service worker, a long-time food service worker in Deer Hill. Susie Corkum, longtime teacher at Deer Hill, as is Deb Henry, Denise Leone, who was an ESP at the high school, Mallory Dwyer, also at the high school, and then, of course, Diane, who I mentioned. And then as I was driving away from one of the activities, I caught a nice picture of these kids waving at Deer Hill, clearly ready for summer, but pretty happy. And it's nice if you think back on that first picture I showed of the kids coming in, feeling like they were part of a family, and then leaving, you could clearly see they still felt part of that family. So it was pretty special. And within all that culture, we're still building and moving on our strategic plan. You can see we're on our third year. It says 21 through 2024. This summer will be an important summer for us as a leadership team and as a school community, because we'll be reflecting on what we've done over the last 2 years and really narrowing in on what we need to do our third year as we look to build our next strategic plan. And we've already set a kind of plan in motion for that. So in the spring of next year, we'll be starting our next plan. But I'll turn it over to Dr. Scollins to talk a little bit about our academic achievements and some of the things that again, we're not going to be able to list them all, but some of the areas that we're looking for in the next couple of years.
So I couldn't list all of the things, but these are kind of some of those big items that we accomplished this year. The curriculum review process for phase 1, that self-study happened in math and then in the visual and performing arts, which is a wonderful experience and really gave us a good sense of where we need to go. And we'll be sharing that with you in the fall with our action plan based on what we came out of our self-study. We implemented year 1 of our elementary comprehensive literacy approach. It's something we've been working on for a couple of years. We added Heggerty, which was a phonemic awareness program for grades K through 2. And we also implemented our year 1 of Readers Workshop in grades 3 through 5 and piloted it in grades K through 2. Because materials weren't quite ready yet, but they will be full for it next year. And then we also provided embedded professional development with Teaching and Learning Alliance. We've done that for the past couple of years, and we'll continue that partnership. At the middle school, we implemented Open SciEd, and that was our first year, and we'll continue that also, hopefully. Applied for a grant, so hopefully we'll have some funding to help us with that. And also, we implemented year 2 of our iReady diagnostic in math and reading in grades K through 8. And it's very enlightening for us to be able to have a data point from grades K through 8 for us to follow. And then we piloted the iReady personalized learning in math for grades 3 through 5. We were able to get a grant for that also. We were using Dreambox at the elementary level, and then Lexia Core 5, which is personalized learning, but we're going to be moving in a different direction. We're going to be looking at using iReady personalized learning instead to keep it all together with the diagnostic. We integrated learning walks in our math and reading specialist meetings, and also with our department chairs. The high school participated in their NEASC self-study, which gave them a course of action and a plan moving forward. And then the middle school spent a lot of their time looking at how to support culturally responsive and inclusive practices and our resources and what we have. And so we also did a lot of work with MTSS, and I'll really have to give Ms. Swanka all the credit for that. She had pulled together a steering committee to revitalize that, and they looked at what was happening. They created more processes and more consistent practices. They partnered with principals and development of parent notification letters. They had, she created the MTSS task force, and they looked at building practices and really looked at vertical alignment and also that ECAP, which is so important for us to have. And then was made more consistent staff representation in the MTSS meetings and added BCBA at the meetings because there's so often so many things around behavior, and to have a specialist there, that's what a BCBA is. So Dr. Potter has been very helpful with
Dr.
that.
Scoggins, can we just, for anybody who might be watching, because I think we're getting a
I
little
know.
alphabet soup.
I just was thinking that
MTSS is multi-tiered
multi-tiered systems of
systems of
support.
supports.
It used to
DCAP
be
is
called
just.
RTI a long time ago.
Correct.
And then your district.
Curriculum
yeah,
accommodation
curriculum
plan.
And so that's at the district level, and the building level ones they're working on. And a BCBA is, and I'm going to draw a blank, but it's a behavior specialist.
Yes.
And I'm drawing a blank right this
It's
second.
board certified
Behavioral
behavior analyst.
Thank you. And so, but that's Dr. Potter in our district, and she does a really, really wonderful job helping and supporting students and teachers.
Mhm.
And then we moved to using Google to document what is happening in our meetings and helped with the transition from grade to grade and school to school. Prior to this, there were different ways that meetings were being recorded and forms that were being created, so now it's all the same. And then they did update that DCAP as a district and build it wide. And it's used for by staff in meetings, so that's really helpful for families and staff. And then they also have more support strategies, data collection, information sharing that's aligned across the district. Again, we worked really hard to make sure that we're doing things K through 12 and that there's consistency. And then the principal's participation in PSO and CPAC meeting to discuss MTSS. That happened a couple of months ago, and it was really a great meeting because I think people could ask questions, but they could also see how things are very similar, but maybe just a little bit different based on the age of the students and where they are developmentally. But that was great, and I think we would like to do it again. I actually think CPAC talked about it when they were here to visit and shared with us a couple of weeks ago. And then continue the data collection on initial evaluation sources and then what's happening in MTSS. And then really continue the development of with PD opportunities to refine our practices. So I think, we've got a nice, good foundation, and we'll continue to grow our MTSS as we become more knowledgeable. And then what's coming next? So our curriculum review process will be, phase 1 will be health and wellness next year. And so they've done a lot of work already. They're a very cohesive group, but we're really looking forward to looking at all of that. And it'll tie nicely into all the things that have been happening with the wellness committee. So that will be a great group to work with. And then we'll be in phase 2 for math and the visual performing arts for our curriculum review process, and that will be the action plan. And that looks over the course of a couple of years of what we're going to do, whether we're implementing new mathematics, programming, or if we need to purchase more materials or funding for things. So that will come out in the fall. We're going to implement a new math program, illustrative math, in grades 6 through 8. Again, hoping for a grant that's going to help us with that. We have the funding, but you never know. Some extra funding would be really helpful. And we'll have professional development and coaching for teachers within that math programs. Not exactly as we're doing it at the elementary, but there will be some virtual coaching, and there will be some coaching happening here, and learning walks with the professional development group. And then year 2 of implementation for the elementary comprehensive literacy approach, we will continue our relationship with Teaching and Learning Alliance. We are also going to pull back. Remember, we had our literacy leadership team. We're going to pull them back together or ask for new voices, and we're going to create literacy look for. So when we start doing learning walks within the literacy, we'll have some things to really be looking for and focusing on.
Remember, learning walks is when a group of educators they go into rooms looking for particular learning pedagogy.
Mhm.
It can be done in a variety of ways. And what it does is it just creates a dialogue about what you saw in the room and what effect it was having on the students. And it's a great learning tool for staff in many ways. And we've been doing this with leadership for a long time now, since we've been here.
Right.
Um,
But now we're
It's
doing it with other
effective.
people, right?
Yep.
And it allows us to look for trends and patterns, and then allows us to give feedback and then make changes if on what we see. And then we will be implementing year 2 for our middle school science for SciEd, and hopefully a partnership with Boston College for that. They have a great program, and we have not been able to get into it because we didn't qualify. Because there was a criteria for which we did not qualify for. Really had to do around your free and reduced numbers. We didn't have it, so fingers crossed. And we'll continue our work anyway, but it'll be nice if we get that extra funding. And then year 3 for iReady Diagnostic and Math and Reading. So it'll be really nice to have 3 years under our belt to see really what are we looking at. And then we will be implementing the iReady Personalized Learning in Math and Reading in K through 5. Like I said earlier, we were using Dreambox and Lexia. We're going to move away from those and keep into using the iReady program. And then we're going to implement a new history curriculum called Investigating History for grades 5, 6, and 7. This is being promoted by Bessie. And so we also wrote a grant. I was very busy this spring, and we wrote a grant with Scituate and Hingham. So it'll be really exciting for us because we're so small. We really, at this middle school, we only have 1 teacher per grade. So they'll have the opportunity to be with other teachers, same for 5th grade, but they at least have a group of teachers they can work with. So year 1, it will be Scituate and us, and they'll be trained. We're working with with a group that actually wrote this curriculum.
I think this is a great list that we can bring to school committee and show you as we move forward what's going on. too.
Exactly.
I enjoy that.
Which will be really fun. So we unofficially got the money for this, I believe. I'm not sure they're a little bit slow on letting us know. But we're really excited about that. And we'll start that work with Scituate in the fall. And then we will also be implementing more consistent data dialogue process across the district with our new director of data curriculum and evaluation. We've been having lots of conversations around data, but we want to make it a more consistent process K through 12. So we're using the same language, we're using the same process. And then two partnerships we're going to join this year. One is the Massachusetts Partnership for Diversity in Education. And lots of towns around us are part of this organization, and it will allow us to have access to workshops. They will help us with looking at what's our diversity plan? What are we doing to recruit teachers of color? All sorts of really nice partnerships there. And then the Massachusetts Partnership for the Youth. Again, that's another organization that a lot of districts are part of. And it allows you to be part of some other grants, do some partnerships with other districts around how do we support our youth, keeping them healthy, happy, and safe. So those are just a few of the things that we'll have going on. And then our strategic plan, which we'll work on in the spring. So we'll be asking for people to be part of that team in the late fall.
So I want to give you just a snapshot of where we have come this year and what we're looking at as we move into next year. It's very much in concert with the strategic plan. And next year is a lot about getting our written curriculum in order, having our written curriculum, what I should say is our front-facing written curriculum in order. We have written curriculum, just the front-facing curriculum, so people know exactly what we're doing. Our benchmark assessments, making sure that we shore that up. And we have a director of data curriculum and evaluation to really help with that, help to drive those data dialogues. That's exactly where we want it to be on year 3, coming out of COVID. And then we have some very innovative teaching that we'll be working with, and you can see it bubbling and happening, but we need to be more, I guess, intentional with that as we move into the next strategic plan. So, we really look forward to this team being a part of those decisions and that dialogue with the community. If you have any questions, it's a lot, but I just wanted to give you sort of an overview of it.
Oh. All right. Well, I guess I can note that at 6:13 p.m., Mr. Dial, the chairperson, did arrive. So I guess you are now serving in your role as chair.
Okay.
I thought you were just gonna
Come in and take over.
take the baton. Yeah.
No,
Exactly.
there's a whole process.
You want a
here.
ceremony?
You hit the gavel.
That was it.
I
You could always hit the gavel if you really.
I thought you were gonna hit the gavel.
I'll do the gavel.
Yeah.
Or I didn't.
Well, thank you, Dr. Slattery.
Maybe that's why I ended up where I am now.
It's a defense. Any questions from the committee on looking back? And I'll confess to have asked Dr. Sullivan and Dr. Scollins to kind of put that together to give us an idea of just how far we've come and just how far we are going. And one of the things I'd asked the committee to do, to think about, we didn't necessarily do a great job of this last year, that's on me, but thinking about our looking forward, especially, we should have some school committee goals as well for the coming academic year. And so that'll be something on our agenda coming forward. But in that context, any questions or comments from the committee?
I have some, but I can go last. I don't know.
I had only one, and I was paying attention very well, but then you said something about funding. We have some, we didn't have enough. What was it? You, in that,
Oh,
Yeah.
so there were a few of them,
Okay.
because we have funding, but DESI came out with all these grants at the end of the year.
okay,
So I just applied to whatever
okay,
that worked for us. So
Great.
Open Syed is part of it,
Okay.
science, and then math. They
Math.
were offering
Okay, that was
accelerated
one.
math, and one of the programs we really wanted was illustrative math, and that's one that they support. So
okay,
yeah, so that was really helpful. So it allows us to do a little bit more around professional development if we get the money.
okay, that's great.
And a lot of that was year 2 or year 3 in implementation. The 2 new informational parts of curricula that we should bring you up to date on would be illustrative math and would be
In middle school.
at the middle school
Mhm.
and
And
then
then
history.
investigating history.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, and Open Syed is open source, just so you know, that means it's free. But there are companies that will help you either with a digital platform or print out the materials and things like that. So we have connected with a vendor to do that for Open Syed and illustrative math. So illustrative math also is free. It's an open source. But again, it's, you need someone to kind of help organize it for you. But we're such a small district.
And these are all very much DESI.
These are all DESI.
Supported and actually promoted and
Exactly.
used by.
Exactly. And Open Syed is, we're using it at the middle school, but they are piloting an elementary program and they do have some for the high school. So the hope is to have a continuum from K up. And then same for investigating history. They're doing the same. They started in the middle school. It seems like this is similar to what they've done. They did with science, with the Open Syed. Now they're doing it with investigating history. That fifth grade, sixth grade and seventh grade. But their plan is to then move it all the way down to K. So we're kind of in the front line of that. And part of
And
the
it's the
process.
beginning stages for all of it.
Correct.
That's great. Thank you. Sorry.
Any comments? Mr. McCollum?
Yes, so when we are having learned from, I think, some missteps in the past, when we are rolling out new curricula, I would appreciate it, and perhaps this goes in line with what Dr. Sullivan was saying earlier, maybe you were already planning on doing this. But I would appreciate it if we could have a focused or targeted presentation on a particular, so for example, investigating history. If we have a presentation on that, not necessarily from an approval or rejection perspective, but from a collaboration and transparency perspective, so that not only the school committee, but the community is aware of what the changes are, what the new program entails, how we're rolling it out, and they will have an opportunity to share any sort of comments or constructive criticism or feedback or insight,
Yes.
because it could benefit that as we launch a new program. So I think that would be helpful at some point in the near future. If this is being rolled out for 23-24, then
Mhm.
maybe over the summer.
Yeah,
something
there's
like
2
that,
of
we
them,
start
the
talking
illustrative
about it.
math and the history.
Right, there were 2 of them. Yeah, I just remembered the name of the history one. So
Mm-hmm.
just a thought.
And no, it's a plan.
Okay, great.
I would actually just add to what Mr. McClellan just said, and providing parents or families with the rationale for the choice and how these programs then connect to the curricular choices that have been made in the lower grades and the upper grades. I'm thinking of 8th grade history right now. I'm like, well, what are they doing? They're bridging sort of between high school and middle school and aren't being encapsulated into this investigating history program.
Right.
So how does that,
Right.
how are those 2 bridges then created between 7th and 8th and then 8th and 9th?
Exactly.
And then I just think it's helpful for parents to understand that these are really deliberate choices that are made by the district.
Great, I like that suggestion, and I actually wrote down here those two as future agenda items. So I think that's built in your.
Exactly right. Yeah.
All right, well, nothing further. I think that closes off school updates. Does that also close off academic initiatives, or is there a separate?
It does indeed.
It does. Yes, I had mentioned that there'd be kind of piggybacking.
Excellent. So that brings us to budget resources and governance, block F. We're moving at a breakneck pace through our agenda.
And you do have the power to share. So, but I can also share.
Can you just put up the
Sure,
mine?
I sure can.
Thank you.
Always there to help you.
Not as interesting as the last two presenters, but,
Mhm.
so we're gonna just talk about how we ended the month of May. Where 92% through the school year, and our school budget is about 82.72%. So we're running a little ahead of schedule, which is great because we have a lump sum payroll coming up next week. So that will be a big financial hit to us. The special education tuitions, we were in deficit approximately $96,000. As we're going through and weeding out invoices and purchase orders that need to be liquidated, our deficit in special education tuitions is now dropped down to $60,875. So definitely going in the right direction. By June, it could be even lower than that. The plan is we're currently working on closing out all of our purchase orders because we're almost at the end of June now. So we're in a very good place. And you can see below by the actual individual schools and their budgets, they're anywhere from 77% to 82% expended. Again, still ahead of the game of the 92% of the school year. Nothing of concern, no big changes. We're definitely, if you notice, we're going through the grants. Balances are decreasing, which is the plan by the end of June 30th, and some of the grants are August 30th, they should be expended down to zero, otherwise we have to give back the money, so the grants are being spent down. The revolving accounts as well, which I know has been a concern, we have been very diligent this year in spending the revolving accounts and getting those balances
Want me to go
down.
back up here, Sam?
Down.
Down, okay. You said no, show you.
Sorry.
Going down? There we
There's
go.
the grants.
Yeah,
You can see we have about $186,000 left to finish out the month of June. And then we get into the revolving account again. You can see the fund balances are definitely dropping. I've highlighted middle school, Deer Hill and Osgood. We separated out their gifts and revolving accounts. So each school is now individual in what they have. The only account here that has a higher balance would be the CEF, and that's because they just donated over $100,000 to the Owning Commons / library project over at Deer Hill. So that balance is still, they're in the process of ordering now, I believe, as of today. I've seen purchases going in close to that $100,000 mark.
yes.
So can you remind us when we receive our school committee gifts? I'm kidding, but I did. It looks like a $30,000 budget there, and I just started at the opening balance anyway. Now it's a $20,000 budget. Can you just remind us what that line item is for?
What the line item is for, so
The
it's
school committee
any
gift.
type of donation, financial donations.
We had a lot of them throughout the
Um,
year, gifts.
Throughout the year,
Exception.
you know,
Okay, so that's the ones we accept. So that money, that 20,982 that's remaining, that is earmarked for different things. It's just not
Correct.
yet been deployed.
correct,
Perfect.
yes. Just about every gift we receive is pretty much earmarked for something.
Yep.
So we have a list behind the scenes in accounting that keeps track of what each donation is for, and we keep track of it. But it's all put into one school committee gift account, so to speak. Again, you can see school lunch program is also down. It's down, balance right now is about 268,000. I signed something today for the new furniture for the upper and lower lobbies in the middle high school. So that's gonna be more a casual area, some couches, some tables, much more college-like when the kids come back, when the students come back in September.
Good, it's affectionately called the senior calf,
This season.
but it will have more of a college sort of collaborative
Right.
space.
There'll be collaborative
For dining,
spaces, some type of, sitting areas, similar to what they've done over in this
Yeah,
room, actually. Just different type of group settings, different type of tables. And again, the elementary schools have also ordered, it has not come out of that school lunch program yet, out of that balance, it's new cafeteria tables. So we've gone with the I shouldn't say non-traditional, but the non-traditional, more of a rounded table. So the kids are sitting more enclosed with each other and not just spread out in a long
Much
rectangular
better.
type table. So that will be happening as well, when the kids come back in September.
Someone who conceived the contemplated plan for the senior cafe, the furniture and layout, such.
So
Really more the high school with working with Marilyn.
it was I know Marilyn, the food service director, I know the students, I don't know if it's the student council,
Yeah, they had the same
and Principal Scott and assistant principal
Noise, yeah.
Noise.
So it was a group collaborative
It was a
effort.
collaborative effort on what
Great.
they wanted. They took input, from student staff and administration of what the students wanted to see.
Good,
So it should look very different.
good. I was just wondering if the student input was,
Absolutely had student input.
great.
A question about the CEF, the $100,000, that was the gift from the family for the learning home?
Yes.
And that was a
137,000.
Okay. It was
Correct. Was it 136?
It was 100 plus. Yes.
100, okay.
Um,
There were additional grants that were
Approved at the
from-
same time.
From the
Ah,
CS,
okay, got it.
all the funding.
Correct. And though that's a work in progress as it sits now.
That's great.
Orders are going through, it's gonna be painted and all kinds of stuff
Incredibly
going on.
generous.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lovely space.
Yeah.
It's gonna have more of a feel like this space. If you think about how beautiful that room is with the natural light,
Mhm.
it's just gonna fit the room. It's really gonna be a marked difference. Very excited.
Okay.
Sorry, one more senior cafe question. Is that going to be implemented over the summer? So when the kids return, that will be there?
I think that's the plan.
Yes, I actually signed the purchase order, for them to place the order today.
That's great. The kids will be really excited.
Um,
about that.
Great.
There'll be a lot of things, when we come back, DMA
Great.
will have their new library STEM area,
Great.
Osgood will hopefully have a new vestibule, and middle high school will have some new senior cap.
Great. That'll be fun. Great. Thank you.
Then this just gives you, an idea of the head count and the FTEs, by grouping, it hasn't changed at all. I'll do a comparison come September of what it looks like now versus September, so we can see what areas have gone up, what we've gone down. And how it's broken out by regular and special education undistributed. And then we get into the utilities, and of course, we're always a month behind utilities, so the utility bills are paid through the end of April, which you'll see. Those are the FTEs per school. And there's your utilities. So you can see where we are through the month of April. Again, we have May and June. May's probably been paid by now. June, we won't see up until July. So it gives you an idea of the comparison from this year to last year at the same time of where we are in comparison. So, electric is a little bit higher this year. And the heating firm also are slightly higher, really not by much. And it's the usual, the kilowatts are down, but the price is up because everything goes up.
Did we do some efficiency enhancements, or is this just we have more temperate weather? Because it looks like we're both more efficient on the gas and on the electric?
I think part of it is the weather. We had a pretty mild winter. We also did a huge lighting upgrade district-wide to reduce some of our electricity.
I also wonder how much of our, we did the upgrade in all of our switches and everything here. I wonder how much the system being more intuitive with heat
Right.
and such
Correct,
was cost effective in that way.
correct.
I think our upgrades, that was the initial cost of starting to show, our utility costs.
Correct.
It's a great trajectory, so.
And we didn't use the lights in the classrooms from March through June. I'm just kidding.
I was just gonna say.
We didn't allow anyone to turn on.
I'm just thinking, remember one of the students coming and tells
I'm
me
just
it was
kidding.
too
We
bright.
did. We used it.
We didn't allow anybody
fixed
to
that.
turn on. We didn't allow anybody to turn on.
That was a triumphant moment I should have put in the,
So.
Well, that's how we save money. We dimmed them down. And then we just have comparison of enrollment from month to month.
oh, this is grant FTE.
That's grant, FTE, revolving FTEs. Enrollment.
Great.
And then some other, just some highlights. So the fitness centers, the new floor's in, the paint is in, the equipment is arriving next week. So again, the new fitness center will be up and running by the time the students come back. I'm not sure what's gonna happen over the summer. Very possibly could
Yeah.
open it.
Open.
Bigger discussions to open it up. We do have faculty member that's interested in being the fitness center supervisor. So once the equipment comes in next week, we'll sit down and have a conversation of, are we gonna open it throughout the summer and what are the hours gonna be? Same thing with the learning commons. Obviously, they're not open right now. But we did get that up and running from 3 to 6 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Food service will receive an $8,000 grant from DESI and the Northeast Food for schools to purchase local unprocessed or minimally processed food such as meat, dairy, and produce for the menu enhancement. Food service is also expanding their relationship with the Massachusetts Farm to School organizations to produce better quality meals. They have, over the last month, purchased their own indoor growing towers and have started some growing. Their own organic produce while continuing to utilize the crops that our school gardens grow. So definitely exciting, definitely, a push in the right direction. Food services has grown tremendously in the last year. We still have a ways to go, but we're definitely speeding in the right direction. There's also a new food service newsletter that has been going out each month, or each week, I should say, which is attached to the superintendent's newsletter, the Navigator. The kindergarten, so kindergarten tuition we know is free. All deposits have been refunded. If there's any family out there who has not received their refund, please reach out to the business office so we can make sure that you do get your refund. But as far as we know, all the refunds have been sent out. Transportation, very busy in transportation. If you notice when you pulled in today, there's some buses out in our parking lot now. We're in the process of bringing in some new buses, and they're picking up the old buses, as well as the process of the new electric bus. They're ready to go with that. We're getting ready to put in the charging station. We're trying to finalize some of the information on that, but you will see new buses coming and old buses leaving. The new buses are not flat nose. We went back to the regular nose buses, which were the preferred choice. The new buses have 3 cameras on them. I think our old ones had 2. And with our new buses, they will all have the GPS system because we are no longer needing the assistance of First Student. They've reached out. They're very willing to continue to help us if we run into a bind, which is great on their part. I have to thank them for that. But we have several new drivers, and we feel that we have a couple spares that we will be okay with our own fleet come fall.
What was the material change that was increased drivers all of a sudden that we had?
Couldn't get drivers, now we have.
We couldn't get drivers, so we're short by 2. So First Student was supposed
Things
to.
are shifting a
2.
little.
Okay,
We had our buses, we didn't have drivers, so we have since
Right.
hired 2 new drivers that are starting in September, and we have 2 drivers, potential drivers that are in training right now. So that would be we'd have 4 drivers plus Ray as a spare.
All right, so we're really confident though, in the fall, we're gonna be in good shape.
We
We
are,
are really confident.
We don't wanna,
And like I said,
you
the
don't
fall,
wanna.
the
No.
fall back is, that we won't be doubling up. Like I said, Sheila from First Student, sent an email this week saying, if you need us in the fall, just let us know. So,
which shows, remember, there was a point where we couldn't even get them to
Right.
take us. So things have
That's
shifted.
why I'm concerned about it.
So we're getting back to a more stable
yes.
situation.
Great.
And beginning of the school year, all of our buses will then have the GPS Transfinder tracking system on them, so parents can keep track of where the bus is at any given time.
Right.
So, through the end of May, no concerns, budget's on target or ahead of target. This next week is critical because we have our lump sum payroll, which is 7 paychecks, which cover the staff over the summer, so it's probably a $3+ million payroll going through. Once that goes through, we'll have a much better idea of what, if anything, is left that we can use towards a lot of the supplies and materials we've put on hold right now. We've got kind of a budget freeze, if we call it, until this payroll goes through, just to make sure we have enough to cover our payroll. Other than that, just lots going on. Well, I think every school will have something new going on. Rescue, they are ready to hit the ground July 1st to get that going. So that's in process. Anything else? There's a lot going on, busy.
Any questions from the committee?
Sort of a general question. I thank you for always including us on the postings, especially new jobs. Recruitment overall is going okay?
Yeah, it's going fantastic.
Okay.
I didn't do a hiring update this time. I will, and whatever we choose is the next school committee meeting, but all of those folks who had pending letters, with the exception of one, sent one back, and we've since found a replacement for that one. So we are in just a fantastic spot. Still a few spots, a couple of ESPs.
Yeah.
Couple of teaching positions, but
But
in a great
we're
spot
in a, like,
and phenomenal hires.
first choices, wonderful hires, spent out an all-star hiring
Mhm.
It's great.
year.
Good.
Couldn't be more excited. So yes, Gillespie Public Schools is having no trouble recruiting. We're definitely a sought-after school district to come to. We get the best.
I believe, if not all, most of our staff have already received their reappointments for next year. So
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, and they all will before the start of school.
Yes. So we're ahead of game with that as well.
Any questions from the committee on budget finance monthly update?
Mr. Sullivan, would you mind, I think you do it time to time, but just going on the record, explaining the sped tuition deficit, what that is, how it is addressed and why it's not concerning at this point?
The deficit. So, beginning of the year, we project what our tuitions will be for special education based on our special education students. Throughout the year, we have new students come in. We have students that go through evaluation process that may be in a regular classroom and then maybe being pulled out because they have an IEP or an individual plan. So when those kind of things happen, they're unanticipated. Does cause us to go into deficit because we can't project how many children are going to shift in and out of versus a classroom versus a school. Some can get outplaced to an out-of-district school as well, which is where the tuitions come in, which can be, some of them can be, as high as $200,000 for a student. So depending on the school they go to. So the deficit, it fluctuates all year long. We do have circuit breaker, which is a reimbursement. We get, it's approximately 75%, once you take the base off the tuition.
For unanticipated
So it's for.
special education costs that we could not have foreseen based on.
Like, for example, I think we just had a student move in to town the last week or so of school, possibly, that we know that will be joining us in the fall as well, which was unanticipated. So the deficit, 90,000, 60,000, there's always the sped stabilization fund as well. If we run into a problem where we don't have the funding in other areas in our account to cover, we, can always reach out to the sped stabilization fund, which we have in the past. But normally, it's kind of the ebb and flow of the budget. The bottom line is really what we're concerned about. So if the tuitions are minus 60, the contracted service might be ahead by 90,000, depending on what kind of services we needed somewhere else.
Thank you. I just want to make clear, people get nervous when they see deficits, and I just want to make clear that it's something that is, although unanticipated, it's something that is certainly contemplated from year to year, and that there is a mechanism, or tools in place to address that when it happens. Just want to make sure, because it's, can be alarming to the layperson.
It is, because and that's why it's a bit of a parachute for districts when there are unanticipated costs to balance.
Any other questions on budget finance? Hearing none, we'll move on to transportation. I don't know if we have any prepared for transportation. I do have a transportation question that builds on the budgeting. And that is, if you could just remind the committee, what's the number of routes that we have and that we're planning to have, and when did the planning start for next year's routes, and how does that work? How many buses, how many buses do we have, how many drivers do we have, how many routes we have, and when do we plan the routes?
Well, we have a software program now. I'll let Sue explain it, but it used to be a lot more difficult. And until we have this software program, which maps out everything, and it distributes students appropriately based on the amount of buses we have on the buses. So we're already in process, but I'll let Sue explain that.
Yes, so I believe there's eight routes. We will have 10 buses, because we obviously need spares, but we have 8 routes. The Director of Transportation has already,
It's the same we have right now.
yes, rolled, he already has the students in the system for what we have based on registration and current students. So he's already has a preliminary list, it's kind of like you feed it in, and then the system kind of just sends the routes out, balances them out by number, how many students per bus, by
Length of routes.
length of routes, geographical area. So preliminarily, that's already done.
So what you've seen the end of the school year is what you should anticipate at the beginning of the school year in terms of the amount of kids on buses. They're not overloaded. They shouldn't be overloaded.
Right,
And
we added bus 9 this year. So that route this year was a much smaller route. I think it had maybe 25 or 30 students on it. So you'll see less students per bus going forward, because with this system, we're gonna spread it evenly across all routes.
So you said, how many routes do we have?
We don't have a bus for one.
We don't have
We
a
don't
bus
have a
one.
bus 1.
So we added bus 9. There's no bus 1.
We had 7, we moved to 8.
Okay, so we added a route this year.
That's right.
Okay,
Yes,
so we got 8 routes.
Not sure why we don't have a bus one, everyone, but we don't have one, so it's.
We don't want the competition of wanting to be.
We do have a double zero.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
bus 1 used to be the Metco.
There's an Echo bus. We also have, we do contract out with a company called Locomotion.
Yep.
Who
For Metco.
does. Okay, it's Locomotion.
It's locomotion.
Yeah, they do our Echo bus,
Um, And they have 2 buses.
correct.
So I imagine you've explored this, but I will just say that one of the kind of consistent feedbacks that I've received and experienced also is that given since we've moved the school day later, the time for kids to get home, especially younger grades, gets compressed to be able to make activities. And so a lot of the feedback I've gotten from people is that the bus routes, they would love shorter bus routes. And so if we have 8 routes, if we have 10 buses and we're only looking at 8 routes, I just would wonder if adding a 9th route would help. I don't know if you've looked at that.
We have some of the issue, and Sue, please jump in and correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm understating this, but we have to have a spare bus. In one of them will invariably have an issue.
Yep.
And then we also have sporting routes. Remember, our high school students get out earlier, so we need to transport them often when we have routes happening for our elementary kids. So to wait for, with all of our sports teams, to wait for that additional bus, it just won't, it won't work.
So we need the two buses.
We do,
Okay.
yeah, we'd have to have actually an 11th bus in order to do it.
Right.
that way.
Okay,
Not that it's, not doable.
Sometimes it is, right?
But consistently, it would be difficult, especially if we have two athletic trips going on at the same time.
would it be something we could talk to first student about potentially if we have that athletic situation? Seeing if they could be a backup as opposed to relying on, because we've got two buses just sitting there and we have routes that people think are too long.
Well, they're not just sitting
It's more
there.
about the drivers.
Yeah,
We need the
'cause-
drivers,
well, we do have,
11
right,
drivers.
which we will have.
we can look at that. We can look at it as
I
a,
mean, the route should be a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
Just because, like I said, the added bus, the eighth route this year came mid-year, maybe after the holiday break. And it only had minimal children on it. So when they're all put into the system, instead of having, buses with 70 plus kids on them, most of them will have 60 something because we're spreading them. Bus 8 will be a full bus as well now.
So obviously I defer to you guys on that, but like, if it's a computer software thing and you can just plug in the ninth route and see what it looked like, and if it
Mhm.
reduced, if it only reduces by like a minute, then whatever, but if it
Mhm.
would considerably reduce, that would impact, quality of kids' ability to get to activities and get homework.
yeah, we can look, we should be looking at that. We will.
Absolutely.
Any other comments or questions to committee on transportation? All
We
right.
could also have, if that becomes a concern for the community moving forward, be glad to have Ray come and talk about that in more depth and explain the difference that you really get by adding another bus versus some of the costs that would incur and, the other things we need to do with our buses. So we'd be glad to, we want to be really transparent with that. We feel like the 8 buses, essentially where you had at the end of the year, but even much more thoughtfully distributed. Because remember, we added another bus and it was kind of like, we couldn't create the bus routes as properly as we would, we started from scratch. Now we're doing that with 8 buses and 8 drivers and extra driver and all that.
Yep.
So it should be a much better product just from the get-go. So hopefully.
And we don't really know what ridership could go up. We may not have a choice. We may have to add.
Right,
But
but our projections are not that right now.
not right now, they're not.
And maybe that's if we haven't scheduled any new meetings yet, so if we do meet again as a committee, maybe that's something we'll think about.
Yeah, yes, I would think that would be, once we have a good handle on our numbers, I think maybe towards the August meeting. would be
August.
good. Yeah,
Great.
That's what I was thinking, August. Would probably be a better time.
That'll, unless there's any other comments, that'll close off transportation, move us to our standing agenda, which is a report from the school facilities committee. And then also, I think we're approving new school facility membership. So, I don't know if you, do we have that on materials? I just got a blank.
We don't have materials. We do need to do it. I asked to have it on the agenda because just in case we were ready. I do know that we have enough names to approve, to consider, obviously, to replace us. Miss Leskey is differently situated from Mr. Kearney and I. I just don't know if it's sort of up to her whether she wants to. There's a replacement for Miss Leskey. But she was not on the school committee when we, made nominations or anything like that. And if Mr. Kearney and I are no longer going to be on it, there's obviously the quorum concerns are completely extinguished. But we have enough to replace everyone because I know that now Ms. Leskey's plate is a lot more full than it had been when she was just on the school facilities committee. So I have gotten the names. I think I think it needs like maybe one more meeting cycle to sort of fully bake because while everyone except for one person has indicated that they are willing and excited to serve on the committee, I think that it's not like I think they would be surprised if we approve them tonight.
That's fine, we can just defer that.
Yeah, so let's do that. Let's do that. But just the good news is that there had been headway on it and there's people that are available and interested.
Now, the one person who's not interested, should we put them on the committee right now? Just.
Well, the one person is, they're interested, they just don't necessarily know that we know they're interested. So that's what's going on. That person does have interest.
We'll let that one slide. Okay, so do we have any reports from our school committee, subcommittees, or liaisons? I know I had no subcommittee meetings, no report, so no reports there. I do think this is my least favorite agenda item of the entire year, and that is approving the school committee 2023-2024 meeting schedule. So in the materials on H1, we have a
Put it on the screen for
school
us.
calendar. And I think, Dr. Sullivan, looks like you've pre-populated some potential.
Yeah, so we just for ease of use, not for any other reason, we didn't touch the summer months.
Yep.
But we did, in a, every other week format, as you can see where the little hand is here. The ones that are underlined and italicized, it's just every other week. So it's, all that is just, I asked my administrative assistant to do that just to give us a place to look as you create your meeting dates.
So the first decision point about that is what our meetings look like in the summer. I guess summer is slower, but there will be a lot of things going on with the schools. So I might propose that we do one each month, one in July and one in August. What do you think about that?
I was going to propose that we skip July altogether and do 3 meetings in August.
3 meetings in August.
Yeah.
Because
Because the 30th, remember, the first day of school is 30.
Yep.
So I know people are on, I mean, look, I mean, as long as we have, the problem is a lot of things happen, but I don't know, if the doctors feel that we need a meeting in July, then that's fine. I don't know, I just think things start to really take shape more in August, and if we met through 2nd, 16th, 30th. But it's just one opinion of 5, so.
I don't know that we need just since you asked, I can understand not needing the one in July. I don't know that you need 3 in August. I think we should be able to keep you up to date with 2 in August.
Great.
Yeah.
This-
I mean, listen, we would definitely look at that, but.
That's great. I would love to only do 2 in August, as long as they think it's enough time. Mr. Dow, I would love
I think.
to meet on that Wednesday as the first day of school. That would be kind of a cool meeting to have, I
I
think.
think that's probably a good idea.
So I was sort of
we talked
back on
about that
backwards from
last
there.
year. Does that work from the administration side? The first day of school can be a lot going on. Is it too much to also prepare for a school committee meeting on that day?
Not necessarily.
I mean, there's a lot of fun pictures from that day.
Yeah, it's a great idea. I'd love to do it.
Um,
But I don't want to put
Yeah.
our administrators in a bind.
I guess the question is, if you're gonna do that, you'd be in a situation, where you'd be meeting the next week.
Well, we could just slide everything down a week.
Which is what I did.
Craig's already done that.
Yeah.
The 9th and the
And
23rd.
then we'd have a recap on, then if we did the 6th of September, school had started, kindergarten would have started, preschool would have started, so everything kind of
That's a
comes
good
in,
point. Kindergarten's different.
right? That, they don't start till the 31st.
Yeah, another thing
So-
I think you're
That's a
right
good point.
on.
Yeah.
Because remember, the way it's gonna set up, and I think this is for the community to know, having been in a district that had both starts after Labor Day and before Labor Day. As a teacher and a principal, I actually, and I get both sides, but I liked from a planning perspective, the before Labor Day start, because what it did is provided a really great orientation time for students. And you actually got into the curriculum, deeper into the curriculum quicker and more meaningfully. So really what ends up happening is the first few days are activities to get our students socially, emotionally, and academically in place. And then after the longer break, with Labor Day, you kind of hit the ground running. So it would make sense if we, from that perspective, as Dr. Scoggins was saying, if we had the 6th, you'd hear about everything that went on during that time period.
Yeah, I forgot that it was a staggered start, so I actually like 6 better because that would be the day after the entire school is operating.
And then it gives you two meetings in August to really help us set the school year properly, which I would advocate for the 9th and the 23rd. And then July, I don't think is really that necessary.
I'm loving the meetings.
Well, before I go in. any
That's up to
thoughts-
you.
Any thoughts from the committee right now? Right now, the discussion is, no meeting in July, a 9th on the August, 23rd of August, and then we'll go through and proof these underlying ones to make sure we agree, but what are people's thoughts on that summer
I
schedule?
support it, I like it.
I'm good with it.
The only thing that I do love meeting with you guys, so that this may play into it, I have a bias. But with all the various things going on, construction wise, and building wise and whatnot, I just wonder if even if it's a short meeting in July, that we have just to see the status of kind of where these capital improvements are. What do you think?
I have to bring forward to that.
Yeah.
Why don't we see if it's necessary, we can always call a special meeting, we don't need to schedule it.
Yeah, we could call a special meeting.
Because you will be made aware of things if there's problems, and then we can always call a special, but we don't necessarily need to schedule it. So then if everything's going fine, because that is the one reason to meet in July, but it may not be necessary.
On the other hand, we can have it on the book so we can plan around it and then we can not call it if we don't need it. Or
I'd rather do it that way, honestly, because I do want to get some updates, especially like we were talking about going.
and we can even do it just virtually if we want to do.
Then I
I'm
would
not
recommend
convinced,
26.
I don't want to meet in July, but I will do it. I don't want to make it bicycle, but I'll make it bicycle.
What do other people think? About meeting in
think-
July?
I like the idea of scheduling it and then pull it down if we don't need it.
So
And I'd be fine with virtual too.
we can do a placeholder for the 19th maybe, or a light meeting.
I think it's important.
Oh. I actually have a thought. My daughter's going to college and it's new student orientation.
Nothing going on.
Construction wise, well,
It's good, it's good. Let's do it. Everyone likes it. Let's do it.
So if we do them, I think that the dates would be probably because some stuff starts the first as far as construction, so the 5th would not be a great time. 12th may still be too early. Maybe it's the 26th.
26 that comes a little closer to Vice Chair McClellan's thought of 3 in August. I mean, it's almost 3 in August, and it really, people are going to take time off in early July. It's our slowest time. So I think the 26th will give you a little bit more info.
what if we just did what if we do a subcommittee on school facilities? What if we just do that?
Well,
Because it's just basically an update, right, on the
Sorry.
facilities?
Paul,
Is that what
what's your suggestion?
If we're gonna do it on facilities, which I agree with, because we should get updates of what we're gonna do with the planning, maybe we just have a subcommittee.
Oh.
On school,
Yeah,
facility
and then-
finance stuff.
And for coming out of the subcommittee meeting, you could say if we need to get that full committee.
Yeah, and we can do that virtually and.
You could.
Yeah.
And that gets us out.
Because all we'd be talking about is facilities. stuff, so we
Facilities,
just
that's it.
delegate that down. to
Yeah.
the subcommittee.
So
Okay.
then it's,
I'm on the no July meeting.
all right, great.
I think that's accurate, really. That's going to be, that's
Yeah,
going to be
because
the
honestly,
pressing
like I
concern.
do, I think it's important to get all the updates, just because it's like, we get our ducks in the row for, if we, and then if we have anything that's pressing, we
We
can
can
put it
call
on
it
the
emergency
agenda or
meeting.
not. Yeah.
Okay. So the proposal on the table, there will be no July meeting, but a meeting in August 9, August 23rd, and then we'll look at the lines. What do people think? That,
It's good.
There was a duck out there that liked it.
yeah,
It's Aflac.
okay, so
I feel like that was reverse psychology or something at one point.
Yeah,
We're
Paul?
back to no meeting. It's good.
I think my concern, I think Mr. Keeney addressed my concern that we just wanted to have some feedback loop on the construction stuff, because we had so much going on. So then we've got the 6th, 20th, I guess I won't read through, but if people can look at these and let us know if there, you have any thoughts or concerns about these. I know in February, we have a double meeting,
Definitely,
doubled
so-
up.
yeah. don't-
I
so-
see a problem already.
So no double meetings.
Okay,
September, we have the 20th is the Osgood Open House. Can't have the school committee meeting on that day.
okay.
Sorry, again, I just
No,
had,
that's fine. That's
I just told her to just go
Right.
to it.
So one of the things, if you look, so open house, the 27th is the high school open house.
So you could go 2 weeks in a row, go the 6th and the 13th.
So we can't do the,
But let me ask you this, why are we scheduling open houses on Wednesdays?
it's gonna move the open
Especially
house.
especially two Wednesdays, that doesn't make a lot of sense, because the administrators have to be here at school committee meetings and there.
Well, the only administrators that have to be here are us.
I know, but you guys go to those.
Well, we just have to watch the, it's just to try to get them at the beginning of the year, that's all.
No, of course, but isn't there a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, or Friday? Or I guess Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, no one wants to do it on a Friday night, right? But-
Right, Tuesday,
Yeah, I mean, we could move Osgood
we could move it to the 19th.
to the 19th.
We could ask that.
Yep,
Would we consider having this meeting at the Osgood School?
Well, Dr. Sullivan's always wanted to do that, but I
I
don't,
did. I would not like to have it during an open house. But I would love to, we want to.
Yeah.
We're actually
Let's
getting
move-
equipment.
Okay.
I mean, alternatively, I'm bound to stay on Wednesdays. We could move our meeting to a Tuesday.
I actually think we can move the, I think Vice Chairman McClellan's idea.
I'm gonna put it-
All right.
I guess.
I would
Yeah.
not move, I think aren't select meetings on.
yes,
Tuesdays?
right, that's the
Ah,
problem with moving our
yeah.
meetings. Yeah, so it's easier to move an open house, I think,
Yes.
than
So let me try to move the, did we approve this already though? We did, right?
The calendar? Yes.
Yeah, so we need a vote on that to change that.
Do we need to vote when the open house is though? I mean, like,
Well, you have to vote on the dates anyway, so you could actually today,
we have to vote on this anyway.
you could vote on the dates and then the change in open house.
if you're ready for us to vote on that.
But the only thing that stops you doing that is just checking with
I'm doing it right now.
Lisa, with
I don't know if she'll be
Principal
back here in
Farrell.
a second, but-
So we'll table that and we'll just go on and see. The next one I observed is February. There's a double up on the 7th and the 14th. But let's just, any comments or concerns on October, November, December?
On the double ups because it's vacation leave, right? Yeah.
Right.
No, it's fine.
That's fairly, we run at that, always.
I just wonder if we, on the February one, we just move. I don't know.
I think we just shift, I want to try and,
You don't have to, too, just.
right, but usually by that time, there's a lot cooking.
Yeah.
So I was thinking just, are you still looking at February stuff?
Yeah.
So I was thinking just push the 14 down to the 28th and then push everything down.
So the 6th and the 13th, the 20th, 27th.
Exactly,
Um,
exactly.
Okay, so.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Watch out for.
Yeah, say that one more time, Craig, I'm sorry.
So instead of the 7th and 14th, you do the 7th and push the 14th down to after vacation. the
28th?
Then push the 6th down to the 13th. Now we're in March. Push the 6th down to 13th. 20th down to 27th.
27th is, yeah, half day
Conference
school.
Yep.
Yep.
And then, you know.
We cancel the
keep-
3rd.
Keep on going. You cancel the 3rd, then you're back to
Yeah.
10th.
And then the 24th.
Yep.
Yep, that dodges that bullet.
Yep. And then
And then we have to
you,
move the 1st to the 8th.
that's right.
But the first will be right after the 24th.
Right, so we have to move that.
Move that to the 8th,
Yeah.
then move to the 22nd.
That's right.
And then
And then you're
back on
back
schedule,
to
5 and
normal.
19.
Yep, yes.
I like that. That solves 2 double ups.
Right.
What's that?
And I just.
Yeah, we can go ahead and show this to Jennifer. Yeah.
So it's also possible we can approve our school committee meetings, and then if we, and then come back and reapprove the moving of the Osgood open house. If we need to.
Yeah, I mean, that's not bad. I mean, if it's, that's the one conflict we have, it's pretty good, I think. We've had bigger issues with that.
That was the only one I saw, other than the double ups, which I just don't think are efficient.
Yeah, no, it's, we need a couple weeks between meetings.
That was the
And to
only
be
thing I
honest with
saw.
you, the 19th is kind of better, because that gives a day in between two open houses. So if you have a kid at Osgood and
Oh,
Deerfield,
absolutely, yeah.
like, I'd rather have, it's still 2 in 1 week, but I'd rather have a day in between.
For sure.
And that's very possible, because those are ages that, it's less possible to have one at a high school and at Osgood. It's more probable to have 2 elementary.
Right. It's still so early. I mean, I doubt she's operationally planning this whole thing out there already.
No, I think we're fine.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. June.
I think you could actually vote on it, and we'll, I think we're gonna be good with this.
I do
Okay.
too.
Okay, so the proposal on the table right now, I'm just gonna read through the calendar just to make sure we're all on the same page, is we'll have no meeting in July. We'll have a meeting on the 9th of August, 23rd of August, 6th of September, 20th of September, 4th of October, 18th of October, 1st of November, 15th of November, a couple weeks off there for Thanksgiving, 6th of December, 20th of December, 10th of January, 24th January, 7th of February, 28th of February, 13th of March, 27th of March, 10th of April, 24th of April, 8th of May, 22nd of May, 5th of June, 19th of June. That sound,
And the Osgood open house changes to the 19th of September.
and separately, we'll do, I think probably do that vote separately, right? One
I-
setting our meeting date, one approving a change amendment to the calendar. So unless there's any discussion, I would entertain a motion to approve our school committee meeting dates as we just walked through.
So
A motion made by Mr. Carr, seconded by Mr. Kearney. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, we have our planned time together. Given what we just did, putting a school committee meeting on the same day of the calendar approved Osgood open house, I'd entertain a motion to approve an amended calendar that reflects the Osgood open house being moved to the 19th of September.
So,
Motion made by Mr. Cullen. Or a second? Second by Ms. Lefty. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Nay. I will note that Mr. Kearney had to step outside, but we maintain a quorum, so the vote carries. All right.
I just one last suggestion. I know we've done a great job letting the community know that we have an earlier 1 through 12 start date.
Mhm.
I think, I'm sure you'll have a plan to kind of get that through everybody's head.
we will, when we roll over everything in Blackboard in the
Okay,
first few days of August, I will be broadcasting that, as well as inviting folks to the ice cream social, which is on the 15th, Tuesday, correct? It's Tuesday.
Change the date, remember?
Yeah, I know, it changed to Tuesday,
I think it is a 15.
15th, right?
Tuesday, the 15th, from 5:30 to 6:30, ice cream social, right here in the front of the middle of high school. Which should be great. Free ice cream is always great. It can only be different levels of good.
Yeah.
But it's a good kickoff.
Sounds great.
But I will, yes, we will advertise that.
Sometimes wrong. Move. We don't have to set that now. Great. So that approves the meeting schedule. I think our next one is a second read of the policy JFAED homeless students, enrollment right and services. We have that.
Yes.
That's in the materials. I think last time we looked at this and we just had a question of what was changing. And we have the old and the new. It looks like there's definitely paragraphs that have been added.
Yes.
Yeah, do you want me to put that up on screen?
Front one is the one that we're one moved to, and the one on the back.
Right, it's much
Right,
more
yeah.
robust.
Sorry, is this the one?
It is, I'm sorry, it just comes across very, I have it all on my laptop, but it's coming across. It's very difficult for me to read it.
I want to look at it.
I feel like it's
Sure,
a.
absolutely.
I apologize.
No, no problem. You worked on it, so you're the one to look at it. I wouldn't know what's new.
Um, Some of the languages, language that, when we put in for our, review our audit, this is the language that was recommended. And so,
Was there anything
I mean, if
added
you
since
look at
the
the
first
temporary,
grade?
yeah, no, nothing's been changed for the first read, but if
Okay.
you look at the whole, the students of rate of origin, students enrolling in districts where sheltered or temporary residing, like those pieces. You see, they're all new, they're added in based on the law, so dispute resolution and homeless liaison, so all of those pieces. Some of it was in there, but now it's been tightened up and put into sections, but some of it isn't even there in the original.
And does this materially change our policy from a implementation perspective? Do you expect any of these changes to change the way we
No,
Do
address
business.
these issues?
not necessarily. I mean, it really just talks more about what you're gonna do for homeless, and what that means.
It's more in concert with the mask policy, correct?
This is, yes,
So we're just
then
essentially
on
just
top of-
updating it to,
right.
I will open the floor to committee members for any questions.
So just one question, oh, sorry, anybody else want to?
Mr. Carver, please.
So, no political consideration aside, but unaccompanied minors are a big topic. If at some point unaccompanied minors come here to Cohasset that are coming in through the southern border or something and get relocated, are we comfortable that this accommodates that? If we ran into that situation?
Yeah,
well, it does say migratory children living in conditions described in the previous examples.
right.
I,
Unaccompanied youth too, I mean, that is a good, I mean, that is truly something, I think, when I'm always thinking about unaccompanied youth, those are students who are living on other people's couches,
Hmm.
they're in the community already.
The way this policy reads is parents or guardians may elect to enroll homeless students in the school district. So I don't know if this covers the unaccompanied minors. But that is a great question. I don't know if we have a policy on that. That might be something we should think about.
Yeah.
No, not necessarily.
But effectively, this policy says that if you have a student that becomes homeless, they can stay in the district.
Correct.
They
And that's
don't
always been
lose
the
their right to
case.
go to the district because they've lost their home until,
Correct.
and this
Correct.
covers issues about dispute resolution, about when. So, okay. Any other comments, questions from the committee?
And this has been in place for a lot, this has been in place since 2019, even prior, so. Some of these pieces.
Well, hearing no comments or questions, I entertain
It's
a
fine,
motion
otherwise, yeah.
motion to approve. Motion made by Mr. Cullen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Kearney. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? No? All right. Policy JFABD has been approved as presented and discussed at the committee. Thank you very much, Dr. Scollins and Dr. Sullivan. Please implement that into our policy packet. I would, given Mr. Carr's comment question, I would be interested in thinking about if we have a policy that would apply to an unaccompanied minor.
can actually check with legal counsel on that.
Yep. Yeah, we don't need to do that
I'll
now.
I'll make a mark
Yeah.
on that, yeah.
It's
It's a good question.
a very good question. Great to be prepared for that. Martha's Vineyard had to prepare for it.
They sure did.
So,
So, and I don't want to take too much time, but so like unaccompanied minors, especially with special needs or special education requirements, are a population that's very difficult to manage in the United States now. And so I know some of those students, how a student gets into the country unaccompanied is one issue, but they are being relocated to the care of nonprofits that are in many places, like in Massachusetts, where the nonprofits provide housing and things like that. There are none in Cohasset, but there is an increased number of students in that category that are coming to Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And
But I think that's,
I don't know
I
what
think it's worthy of.
do about that, but it
Yeah.
just
Thank
Yeah.
you. It's a
should be
Yeah, that's a
prepared.
good one.
very good point. It's, I don't know if that's a piece we specifically looked at.
Probably not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next item on the agenda is the superintendent's evaluation. I thank the fellow committee members. I have all of your evaluations. Unfortunately, I have not had time to synthesize them into a uniform committee, I was going to say violation. That's not correct. A committee evaluation. So there's not a time box on this. So I think what we will do is defer, have an agenda item on our next meeting, which will be August 9th, for the formal delivery of the superintendent's evaluation.
Thank you for not rushing.
I also want to apologize because I'm pretty sure I was the last one to get mine in.
I'm not going to say who was the last one. I'll say that it remains an open question.
Okay, I take responsibility in advance of that.
Still before the year.
So,
Sorry.
No.
no worries. So with that, there are no topics not reasonably anticipated by the chair, except for one, which we will be addressing in a requested executive session. I don't believe we have any minutes to approve for this meeting, but we're doing a nice job on our minutes. Future agenda items, I'll just say the ones I have, then open the floor to the committee members to see if there's, we had a discussion earlier about the new curriculum, so we'd love to get that on a future agenda item. Bus routing, I think would be an interesting topic. What did I write here? SFC, I don't know what that could possibly mean. Oh, School Facilities Committee. So School Facilities Committee nominations, that would be one, and then what our approach would be for unaccompanied minors that come in through a transient thing.
And you said also, I believe, curricula.
Yes, that was the very first one.
I'm sorry, missed that. Thank you.
No worries. Anything else from the committee side on future agenda items?
Elementary food service lunch improvements at the October 18th meeting.
I'd like to talk about the arts and how we're gonna increase that this year as far as like maybe renovating some of the things, talk about like, yeah, I'd like to talk about the arts.
Okay. And then, great, you want you're requesting that on the 18th specifically?
October 18th, yeah, that will give our food services department all of the month of September and 2-week period in October to implement things that they want to do there, or at least start to, and then present, if not, a presentation on what has been done, on what they plan to be doing. I want to see improvements in elementary area.
We had an agenda item that we were planning on, which was going to be an action plan. Would that be something we would provide? I just want to make sure you have enough time between the time you see the action plan and the time something happens.
Yeah, so if that's the case, but they don't work over the summer, right?
No, so it might be
So-
better to put, I'm just saying, to give yourself, I mean, if you want to, just as a suggestion.
I think that's fine. I think the action plan, the 18th,
Well, the action plan could be, I don't know when it'll be
Could
finished.
be in
It could be-
September.
could be
Yeah.
September
Could it?
or-
Could it?
Or August.
It's, their action plan's pretty much done. They're
Yeah,
submitted. It's
okay.
deadline.
It could be late August, early September, and then if you gave yourself till
Then we have a.
Thanksgiving or Christmas, like right around that area, that would be halfway through. Just saying as a formative check.
okay.
Just a thought.
All right, so why don't I would like to suggest that we present the action plan, if it's pretty much done. Why can't we do that at the 23rd, August 23rd?
We can, the only thing to consider is the other hefty item that has to be approved is handbooks. So we have to make
But
sure.
usually don't we just present the changes. to
We
the
do,
books.
we do. Yeah.
So I don't think that we have to nail down the exact meeting.
I'm only doing it because, I'm doing it because I want there to be expectations managed in terms of like,
Well, I guess what I was gonna say is, I do want us to continue with the action plan in one of the August meetings. And I actually kind of like where you are in October, giving a couple weeks to check up on the action plan. So,
It's just quick.
Yeah.
Because of, I just want to give a substantive
But-
update to you.
we don't need to lock it in now. So what I'm saying is like, we have the action plan presentation in August. Let's see how things are going in September. And if October is a good time to present, let's present then. If we
Let's
need
do
to-
the action plan August 23rd.
Okay, we don't need them to be here, do we?
Who's them?
Marilyn and Kim?
Yeah.
Because they won't work.
I think
They're
they'll be
not
working. Was Marilyn not working August 23rd? Well, then if that's, I think they should be here.
No, Marilyn is here.
I think
Well,
Marilyn.
Marilyn will be here
Maybe
that
we
week because.
We'll leave it to the sixth. Again, we're a couple months out.
Okay.
The theme is,
I talked.
as a future agenda item conceptually, we want an early presentation of the action plan and then a reasonably swift checkup.
Okay.
And what about, can you work on something as far as the arts?
Yes. Now, one of the things you could consider, Chairman Dial, is if I brought in some of our arts folks,
Ken,
particularly.
and remember that we're going to present to you the curriculum review process for the visual and performing arts. So there's going to be an action plan in there.
Okay,
So that might cover what you're thinking, but I'm not.
But that would also be a good point. Why not, when you present that, also present a plan moving forward?
Yeah.
For some of your concerns
Yeah.
and questions,
Right.
and I would think.
it's the
we do
last
that.
thing on my checkbox for this.
Oh, it's great. I think we do that
I think
fairly.
that we got a lot of boxes. we
That's
check.
great. And then,
Yeah, that's the
and then if we have an arts update later in the year,
Right.
part of it could be a review of what we've done.
Because we'll have an action plan probably for 2 years. is what that
That'd be
sounds
great,
like.
that'd be great.
Okay,
So we'll do that early on.
So,
All right, Mr. Carr.
Whenever it fits for everybody, I think I'd be in favor of starting budget planning
Yes.
as early as possible.
Yes.
No particular,
we can start that next subcommittee. meeting.
So,
you know, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I just whenever you're all ready for that.
Well, we have,
Yeah.
can we do the subcommittee?
To Mr. Kearney's point about the arts, it just got me thinking, one of the things we do as a leadership team over the summer is we set plans for spotlights. So it would be nice to get some thoughts on spotlights. We could really do that at the August 9th is after the retreat, so. People can email me thoughts too.
Yes.
Chairman
yeah,
Paul,
we can
I'm a
we
chairman.
can coordinate that. So that's something for the committee to think about is, are there any spotlights on learning that we'd like to request?
So,
All right. That's a lot of future agenda items, but we're at the end of one session and going to start another one. So this is all very exciting. Unless there's any further comment, I'll move us on to a request for executive session, and I would request a motion to move into executive session for reasons number 3 and number 4. Reason number 3 is related to collective bargaining or litigation, and reason 4 is about the deployment of security personnel or devices. So motion made by Mr. McClellan, motion seconded by Mr. Carr, with the roll call vote, Mr. Kearney.
yes, present. I don't know.
Aye.
Aye. Sorry.
I mean, if you're approving,
I am
To go into executive session.
Mr. Carr,
Car,
Ms. Letsky,
Aye.
Mr. McClellan.
Aye.
Mr. Dial, aye. The motion carries. We will now move into executive session. And I'll just declare, we will not come back into a substantive public session after this. So if you are logged in viewing, you can just terminate your viewing and we will not reinstate the Zoom or Facebook. So with that, we will move into executive session.
Thank you. Have a nice summer, everyone.